What's up, everybody? You're very, very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. I hope that you're all keeping well. I'm on time for once, which is a good start. I mean, usually I'm a bit of a diva. I'm usually dragging you guys and waiting a little bit later. But look, I'm here, 8:30 on the button. I hope that you're all well. I hope that, well, I would say the sun is shining, but the weather's not being great, to be fair. But look, we'll move past that. I want to start off by giving a shout out, by the way, to our Instagram account. We're just about 30 followers away from hitting a massive milestone of 20,000 followers over in the Anfield Agenda Instagram account. So if you haven't given us a follow on there, please do. We've got loads of content going up on there, lots of breaking news and stuff like that when it happens. So it's just at Anfield Agenda. If you're on Instagram, please do give us a follow. It'd be lovely to get a little message from Conor Crosby to let me know that we finally hit 20k and we've done it live on a stream. It's always great to do these things on a stream. But look, you're not in here to hear about me talking about Anfield Agenda's Instagram account. You are, of course, here for the latest Liverpool news. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a load for us to get through. I tell you what, just before I started the stream, I'm so happy that I took the time to watch the interview that Jurgen Klopp did with Kelly Cates and BBC Radio 5 Live, talking about the money situation, because it really has given me a bit of a spring in my step and kind of given a bit of gloss back to the picture for me on this one, because I was getting a little bit down, I was getting a little bit frustrated, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were as well. And we'll go through everything in detail tonight. We'll talk about the way the club's run, we'll talk about the transfer window. I promise you, I'll do my best to spend as little time on Thiago as possible, because I know people have reached out to me, given me feedback, and we're all a little bit sick of the saga, but you know, it has to be mentioned every now and again. So look, let's start off with a little bit of something nice tonight. Have you seen the lovely little gift that Jordan Henderson sent to Dejan Lovren with a nice little letter as well? If you haven't seen it, basically the captain sent Dejan Lovren a wonderful letter thanking him for his time with the club, telling him he'd be missed and wishing him all the best with his future. And he also sent him a replica Premier League trophy with all the players' names engraved on it as well, I think with the squad numbers, which is a lovely touch. And again, it just goes to show you the class act that is Jordan Henderson and what Dejan Lovren meant to the dressing room as well. It's important to point that one out. So massive well done to Hendo on that one. He is a class act on and off the pitch. Lovely to see that, and lovely to see how much it meant to Dejan Lovren as well. So nice one to Hendo on that one. Great stuff. John Conway, first super chat of the night. I'm really good, thank you, John. I hope you are as well, mate. I hope that you're keeping well. Looking forward to the new season, of course. The Reds kicking off against Leeds on Saturday. I tell you what, folks, I'm really, really looking forward to getting back to football, because the transfer window is great when you're going, you know, when it's going well, you're signing players and everyone's getting a buzz. But you know what? Let's try and spin it tonight. Let's try and look at any positives that we can take from this, and we'll go through it together. Because I can see the frustration. I read the comments before the stream kicks off. I get it. A lot of people angry about the owners. A lot of people angry about the way we're having to go about business. And I feel you. I'm a Liverpool fan like you guys. Everything you feel, I feel. So let's try and get through it together and see how we're all feeling tonight. Abdul Omar, thank you very much, mate, for the super chats. I love the channel, keep it up. By the way, we're not winning the league unless we get fans back or do some transfers. Do you know what, Abdulli, I'm so, excuse me, my friend, if I've mispronounced your name, Mr. Omar, that's probably best. I do agree with you on a certain part of that, and we touched on it before. It's about the impact of not having fans inside the stadium. It seems to, am I right to say it might impact us more? Do we depend on the COP more than other clubs depend on their fans? I don't know, but it is an interesting point that Mr. Omar has raised, and certainly one that we touched on before. With regards to the transfers, you know I'm going to cover that one, buddy, throughout the stream, so don't worry one bit about that. Liverpool FC, You'll Never Walk Alone, says, shiny head man's back. Do you know what? I've been called worse, mate, so I'll take it. I don't know what else to say. I'll take it. Look, I wanted to get into transfers, but there was something that I read, and you've heard me mention the name Kieran Maguire to you guys many times on the stream before. If you're not aware who Kieran Maguire is, he's a football finance expert, and he was talking to the Blood Red podcast, which is of course run by the Echo, and he believes that we can spend money in this window, but by doing it the FSG way. And here's what Kieran Maguire had to say. Now this is only a small take of it. If you want to listen to the full podcast, it is there, and I urge you to go and do so if you want more info on this. So here's what Kieran had to say. He said, if the manager wanted to spend 40 to 50 million pound, they will back him. Straight away, they will back him. But to spend that amount, it has to be a player who will play 30 plus games in the Premier League. Spending the money on a squad player when you have academy products coming through seems to be spending for the sake of spending. I think we can understand that. That makes sense. I don't really have any bones to pick there with Mr. Maguire on that one. Spurs haven't spent loads. Arsenal have been pretty quiet. And there's an awful lot of other clubs who've been pretty quiet as well. Liverpool are not alone in their caution this summer. Now, to some extent, I suppose Mr. Maguire is correct there, and I am not at all going to sit here and try and pick holes with a football finance expert, but there is something that I do wonder, and something, Kieran Maguire, who, I enjoy listening to, I enjoy reading all his interviews that he does with the Echo, and he is a football finance expert, so he's far better placed to talk about what the club can and can't do with regards to spending than I am. But what I do kind of take a little bit of, not umbrage, that's not the word I'm looking for, because I've no beef with this gentleman whatsoever, but he clearly stated there if the manager wanted 40 or 50 million pound, that he would be given it. Well, we know for a fact that the manager wanted Timo Werner, and we know for a fact that Timo Werner was 40 to 50 million pound. So is it unquestionable, or is it wrong of us to sit here and think, well, you're telling us one thing and the lines coming out are one thing, but in real life, we know that Jurgen Klopp wanted Timo Werner. We've spoken to people. We had Jan Agafjortov on the show. We've read up on Christian Falk and what he had to say in it. He made Timo Werner wait 3 weeks till we try and put the finances in place. Now, it's one thing to say that the club are being cautious, and I think we can understand that to some extent, but to say that the money's there for the manager if he wants it for the right player, I mean, maybe I'm picking this up wrong, and maybe I'm not looking at the 30 plus games in the season that the manager would have to bring somebody in that would play. But I would argue that Werner would play 30 games in a season with rotation in a 65 game season, if we're taking into account the cup competitions and stuff. So, and another part of this that kind of got me thinking was, we're talking about a player in Werner, and I know I'm talking about someone who's a Chelsea player, by the way, but I'm just trying to make the point that we're not idiots as fans. There are some things that we can see through when we're given falsehoods. We're talking about a player with Werner there whose value is probably 20 to 30% higher than the 50 million or odd that Chelsea paid for him, and certainly somebody who would fall into the bracket of a player that you would say would fit the model of an FSG signing, somebody who's quite young, somebody who's still proven himself but can be brought on, and somebody who will probably be able to be sold if we wanted to down the line for a nice healthy profit. But as I said, somebody in this market to me was valued at probably 20 to 30% less than what he should have been valued at. So that kind of got me thinking a little bit earlier on. But then I listened to Jurgen Klopp's BBC Radio 5 live interview, and he spoke about the way Liverpool do things differently. We're a different club, and hence the title of tonight's stream. He said we're not a club run by oligarchs, we're not a club run by countries, and he name-dropped Chelsea as a club that have gone out there and spent a lot of money in this window. But he also made the point that I've been making to you guys all along, that Chelsea are going to have to make sure that those players gel, hence the reason I don't think that Chelsea are going to be challenging for the league title this season. Certainly, I think they will improve and they'll be closer to us, but I don't really see them challenging. I still think it's a two-horse race. But I want to know what your take is on this, ladies and gentlemen. How are you feeling about the transfer window? A lot of people said to me, Craig, just chill, man, calm down. There's plenty of time in the window. Liverpool have till October 5th to get it done, and be patient. And I'm happy to take back any feedback like that, and I'm happy to come on here and have an open conversation about it, because, what I say, I'm not somebody coming on here claiming to have all the knowledge. I'm just a fan. I keep saying that to everyone. I'm just a fan. Right, what else we got? Captain Clun said Werner will flop at Chelsea. I don't think he will personally. I mean, I don't think he'll do as well as he would have at Liverpool, but one thing you can say for Werner at Chelsea is that he'll certainly have the Chelsea attack built around him, and Frank Lampard will have said that to him, I'm sure, on phone calls that convinced him to go and sign for Chelsea. We're like Bayern, said Shayon. Bayern are a very well run club, no doubt about it, man, and they certainly have plenty of cash in reserve. And somebody who, a club that I think kind of acts well in football terms. I mean, highly respected, obviously, within the industry. But they do kind of cherry pick from the Bundesliga, so we're a little bit different like that. Liverpool don't act or can't act that way in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? We can't go in and buy up the best players for our competitors in the same league like Bayern Munich can. I trust Klopp and LFC, but I'm impatient, said Shanzo the man. Shanzo, here's your brother. Do you know what I mean? I'm here with you. I've absolute faith in Klopp, and I've absolute faith in the recruitment team, but I'm also a hypocrite, and I'm a fan that's on here being frustrated like everybody else when it comes to transfers. Now, there is a little bit of stuff starting to move and a few little bits and pieces coming together, and of course I'm going to touch on all the transfers as well. Genie Wijnaldum returned to Melwood today after international duty with the Netherlands, and it's believed that he was going to sit down with Kloppo and have a talk about his future. Now look, none of us know if those talks took place. None of us know what might have been said in those talks, but we do know that Genie will hold the key to the Thiago situation. I've said that for a long time, and it's common knowledge. You don't need me to tell you that. So it will be down to what happens with Genie next, and It looks like Barcelona have made their decision that they want to go after Gini Wijnaldum and they want to go after Memphis Depay as well. It looks like they can't get Lautaro Martinez, so Memphis Depay is the next thing that Barca want to get done. They've cleared the space in midfield as well. I've said this time and time again, so it is just a matter of waiting. Now, there are also people like Kave Solokol from Sky came out and said that Liverpool, why would Liverpool go and spend €30 million on a player that they could sign for free in January, that only has 10 months left on his contract? And my argument to that would be, he's kind of not going to be free one way or the other, because if you wait till he's on a free contract, he's going to get a signing-on fee, his agent's going to get some money. Even if the signing-on fee is staggered over the course of his contract, and if it's broken up into his wages, it's still not going to be free. And also we have the Gini Wijnaldum situation, and if we were to move on Gini, if no contract for Gini is forthcoming, or if he's unwilling to sign a new one, that will free up cash as well. So, and Thiago be a year older. And the really important part that I think Kave Solokol missed in all of this is that would be him staying at Bayern Munich, a club that he kind of has said goodbye to. Now, he hasn't come out publicly and said he's leaving Bayern Munich. He's been quite clever about that, Thiago. So it seems to be that that's where we are with that. I'm not going to dwell on it too long because people are sick to death of me talking about it. You're sick to death of reading about it. Much like Manchester United fans with Jadon Sancho, this one's just dragging on and on and on. And none of us know what's going on. And it looks like it's going to be a late window for the Reds if we are to do it. Thiago's been given some extra time off, by the way, by Bayern Munich, obviously, after being on international duty with Spain, Bayern Munich winning the Champions League. So maybe that'll buy a bit of time for Liverpool as well to try and get this deal done. And do you know what makes me laugh? And I said this on Twitter earlier on, and I know I'm talking a lot here and I haven't dipped into the chat yet, but please do bear with me. What makes me laugh on this one is, do you remember the good old days when we were called out for tapping up Virgil van Dijk because Klopp met him and Klopp spoke with his agents and his representatives about deals? Every transfer window we're hearing Jadon Sancho's representative spoke to Manchester United, wages have been agreed. Liverpool have spoken with Thiago's representative, wages have been agreed. Gini Wijnaldum's representative has spoken with Barcelona, wages don't look like to be a problem, but yet none of that's tapping up. It is weird, isn't it? I mean, it is weird that happens in football, that it only becomes tapping up when the other club don't want to sell, then all of a sudden it's tapping up. But if it's common knowledge that players have representatives have spoken to football clubs, it's all tickety-boo until it's Liverpool and it's Blackpool, and they're a bit jealous. They probably just want a little go on the big dipper like Kloppo had. Right, will FSG ever sell our club to some rich owners? Said Chimney Joshi, and thank you for the super chat, mate. Right, how do I describe this without acting like a dick? The words of Ian Eyre keep coming to me in these scenarios, mate, is in be careful what we wish for. Will they ever sell the club? Yes, of course they will. They are in it for the medium to long term, probably. They have been willing, they've said that they're willing to take on a partner who be a minority investor in the club. We spoke about Billy Bean on last night's stream, and the fact that you probably recognise the name Billy Bean from the whole Moneyball thing with the Oakland Athletics and baseball. He's obviously quite friendly with John W. Henry, and he's put together a package of about £500 million, I think, to invest in the club, and maybe he buys a stake in Liverpool and maybe that'll free up some cash. But with regards to the owner selling, I don't think that's on the cards anytime soon. They had a couple of offers, I believe, over the last year or two. At least a couple of people flirted with the option of buying the club, and there seemed to be no interest in selling from the owners. And look, that's sound. We are where we are. I think the owners are good owners, but this particular window, I think, has caused Liverpool fans more frustration than any window I can remember in recent years. And a lot of us are just confused, I suppose, because there are clubs out there who are spending money, but they're spending money that they're borrowing, whereas Liverpool's finances seem to be pretty healthy, and we go about running a club in a specific way within our means. It's not sexy. That's not what we want to hear. It's not Chelsea out there dropping 150, 200 mil, but it is what it is, and we are where we are. And my main priority in all of this is that the manager's happy, that the manager understands what he's working with, that the manager's not being frustrated, and that he's not getting players or going for players and being told no. The Werner thing seems to be an anomaly in this one, and I just wonder what the real reasoning behind it was, because if publicly we're being told that the money would be there for the right player, I genuinely can't see why Werner wasn't done. But like, maybe somebody has more info on that than I do, or maybe I'm missing something really obvious there. Chris Short said the best thing Liverpool can do is get rid of the stupid media watch part of the website. It's just sprouts tripe. Man, do you know what? It just drives clicks. That's all it is, really. Whatever website it is, whether it's the BBC one, whether it's Liverpool one, the Echo one, whether it's us on YouTube or any other channel, it just drives clicks, and transfers are sexy, and it makes people interested, it makes people emotional, and it brings people to their sites in a time, I suppose, where all clubs are trying to generate as much traffic as possible, and all sites are trying to generate as much traffic as possible. So I guess it's just a case of needs must with regards to stuff like this. I think the owners are good, could be better, said Hexboom. Carl said, I don't want rich owners, we're a real club, not fake like Manchester City. Yeah, there is that. I mean, I don't want somebody... I think the way that we've won the league, and the way that we've won the European Cup, and the way that we've gone about our business has been phenomenal, if I'm being honest with you. If you could have... we won the league the right way. We won the European Cup the right way. And that's great. And that makes us all really happy, which is, again, a confusing time, because... I'm still going to be honest and say I still feel a little bit frustrated, and I know I'm not alone in that. But I wouldn't swap winning the Champions League and the Premier League the way we won it for having owners that just come in with a blank checkbook. I mean, we can really enjoy this Premier League title knowing that there's nothing anybody can say or do to try and undermine it for us. Whereas if we had sugar daddy owners that just threw money at the club, we would probably... It would be against the ethos of what we stand for, and it would be against the way we go about things. So I do kind of agree. I mean... And do you know what? What's really difficult about this as well is we haven't kicked a ball yet. We haven't kicked a ball yet. And we didn't sign anybody last summer. Obviously a couple of youngsters, but we went out and won the league. And Jurgen Klopp will make the players better, I've no doubt in that. But we have to touch on the fact that we finished the season quite poorly. Pre-season been a bit of a mixed bag. Brought through some good players like Takumi Minamino, who's starting to show promise. Naby's picked up in pre-season as well. Raheem Brewster got himself 3 goals in pre-season, so there are some bright sparks in there. It's not all negativity, but it's just difficult when we can look at the team and our first 11 is as good as anyone's in the world. Anyone's. Put them up against anybody and we've got a fighting chance of winning that game. But if we had an injury to Virg, if we had an injury to Bobby or to Mo or to Sadio that kept them out for 4 to 6 months, let's say they had a Leroy Sané type injury, that would put us up shit creek. It really would, and there's nobody that can tell a genuine Liverpool fan, not a genuine Liverpool fan, a sensible Liverpool fan otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, and that glaring omission is there. But they can kind of play off that by saying, well, it has to be a player that's ready for the first team. Well, there's very few of them out there in the price range that we're talking about. So there are some gems to be unearthed, and Klopp will probably unearth those gems. But it's a little bit contradictory. You're hearing there's money there. You're hearing if it's for the right player. You're hearing it has to be somebody that will come in and break into the first 11 and play 30 games. Well, how are they going to do that when our first 11 is pretty set? It is difficult. As I said, there's loads of games though. There's 65 games or so in a season. What's happening with Brewster, said Tiernan Downey. Mate, this is the one that's upset me the most in this entire transfer window, if I'm being honest. The thoughts of having to potentially sell Raheem Brewster does my head in. And I was chatting with somebody on Twitter about this earlier on. I'm always happy to take feedback. And he said that I'm basically dismissing Harry Wilson, but yet Raheem Brewster didn't exactly light up the championship, and I beg to differ. Raheem Brewster is 3 years younger than Harry Wilson. Raheem Brewster scored 11 goals in 21 or 22 games for Swansea at the end of a very difficult championship season, and the championship season I think is a 46 game season, so if he was there for the entire season, double that up, he would have got over 20 goals and had a very good season. And I don't think, if my memory is right, that Wilson was exactly lighting up the championship with Derby, and he certainly didn't do it that well in the Premier League with Bournemouth. So I think it's unfair of him to compare the two, because Brewster quite frankly hasn't been given the opportunities yet that Wilson has had. From what I've read today, there's no new news with regards to Brewster potentially being sold, and I wondered, was that maybe the club's PR team just kind of dipping their toes in the water to see how Liverpool fans would react to it? Yeah, you can talk about the sell-on clause, and we put that I think in Camacho's deal as well when he left the club, but it just feels like it would be a cheapskate way of trying to free up money, and it would undermine the belief that Jurgen Klopp has instilled in Raheem Brewster, that he is part of Liverpool's future going forward. I just don't like the idea of it. Loan him out by all means, but it just doesn't sit well when we're talking about selling Brewster. Hexboom said Brewster was fantastic for Swansea. Sam said, Craig, to be honest, Adrian had quite a strong pre-season. Yeah, look, Adrian is going to be our backup keeper. There's not really much to be said about that one as things stand. Camille Garbara, I've got a little bit of information on. I'll talk about him a little bit further on in the stream. And Loris Karius is going to be moved on as soon as the club can find somewhere for him to go. You can see he didn't get a minute in pre-season, Loris Karius, so you can see straight away there what the plan seems to be is that he has no future at the club. I've said this all along. People have been saying, why can't we have him as the backup? I think it's just the ship has sailed for Loris Karius, and I hope and wish the lad well wherever he ends up. But as things stand right now, the pecking order is Alisson, Adrian, Caoimhín Kelleher. That seems to be the way it is at the club. Mumbai Indians, how are you, buddy? Thank you for the super chat. Said FSG, why are they changing Liverpool, or excuse me, were they charging, I think you meant to say, Liverpool fans £100 for a shirt and £70 for a second choice, and you can buy a shirt for children who can't spend the money. Look, the shirts is a bit of a kick in the nuts, I'm not going to lie. I'd seen somebody actually do a nice little video on this where they compared the stadium shirt and the Vapor shirt, and they're almost two different colours. Take out the pattern, but it's not something that they've done just for Liverpool. If you look at if you look at Adidas and you look at Nike right across the board, this is something that they do. They do now have the player versions of the shirts that are around £100, and the normal stadium versions which are around £70. And do I agree with you that they're overpriced? Yes, I do. I think that they probably should be about £20 less for the other shirt and about £10 to £15 less for the stadium or the fans version of the shirt. So it's a fair point, and it is very expensive. It is very expensive to be kitting out a family now if you've got a couple of kids in the shirts, but unfortunately, mate, that is the world that we're living in. And the prices are set by Nike as well, to be fair. And I suppose one upside of it is we do get 20% of it back, which I suppose you can play on fans emotionally that way as well, but that is where we are, unfortunately, and it is what happens when you go to one of the big kit manufacturers like Nike or Adidas. But look, let's just roll with the punches and see how things work out. But I hear where you're coming from. It is very expensive. Right, so Calcio Mercato in Italy believe that Liverpool, Juventus and Manchester City are all interested in Wolves' Adama Traore, but are being put off by the proposed £63 million price tag. They go on to say that his agent, Jorge Mendes, or George Mendes, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that, is trying to get that price lowered and secure his player a move. So let's wait and see what happens on this one, but I'm not going to hold my breath that Liverpool are going to get Adama Traore in this window, ladies and gentlemen. But it is mentioned out there, and he is somebody that Jurgen Klopp obviously has spoken about before as being almost unplayable on his day. And it doesn't surprise me that his agent is trying to get a move for the player, because he's had a fantastic season there with Wolves, and you can see what the lad's about. You can see how good he is. But at 63 million, I think he's not there yet for me. I think if that price was lowered to somewhere between 40 to 50, probably more realistic for Adama. In my opinion, I had seen prices going up like double what's been mentioned there as well, which was absolutely nuts. Nike are selling it for £100 because they will give us money, said Keane Super Games. But it's not just their shirts. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Nike are fleecing Liverpool fans only. It's straight across the board, and any of their type of shirts, if you go to buy them, that's the price that they are. They're not doing anything to screw over Liverpool fans any more than any other set of fans. I mean, fair is fair when it comes to stuff like that. What happened, Werner? It's hard to think Traore is realistic, said Chani Deep. I don't think Traore is realistic, mate. I don't. I'm just reporting on it because Calcio Mercato put it out there. And this is one of them that I think we can file in the not going to happen pile. But again, you know, there's slim pickings with regards to transfers right now. So I did say Camille Garbara, and I wanted to touch on him because it kind of leads into a transfer that Liverpool look like they will be making this summer. So Camille Garbara looks like he's edging closer to the Anfield exit, and PAOK in Greece, I think they're from Athens if my memory's right, look likely to strike up a deal that'll see the youngster go on a temporary deal there. So it doesn't look like a permanent deal for the young Hungarian goalkeeper, who, by the way, I think looks like a very good keeper and somebody who I think we should be putting out there to get more experience, because from what I've seen in Garbara, he looked quite hasty if I'm being honest. But it looks like Liverpool might be bringing in another keeper. You've probably seen this one floating around. We're in talks with Fluminense over their 17-year-old keeper Marcelo Pitaluga, I think is how you pronounce it. So yeah, keep an eye on that one. No idea about a transfer fee. I'd imagine it would be relatively small, maybe with some add-ons there if he makes first team appearances or some sell-on clauses or stuff like that. So keep an eye on it. What have we got? Mumbai Indian said, how can you tell children you cannot buy them the shirt? Most families are struggling to put food on the table. Man, I hear you. And then I suppose is the whole argument around, does this drive people to buy the fake shirts? You know, when you can go online and buy the adults version for 25 quid, or if you go elsewhere and look harder, you could probably find them for 20 quid. And that may be what happens with some parents. And look, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm not telling anybody where to go and find the shirts. But there is definitely a point to be made that it does drive people to do exactly what the clubs don't want them to do, which is go out there and buy the fake replica kits. But it is difficult, and it's difficult to look a child in the eye and say no. As a parent, you know, it's one of the things hardest. So you spend your time trying to get your kid hopefully to fall in love with the sport, to fall in love with Liverpool Football Club, and trust me, I've been doing my own fair share of brainwashing on my child since he's been born, and I tried with the daughter, but I got to be honest, I took an L on the daughter. She does hold some interest in the club, but little dude gets his kits and stuff, but it is expensive, and I absolutely understand where you're coming from. In a time where every pound or every euro counts for families around the world, it's very difficult. But it still doesn't seem to be stopping the record shirt sales that have been going out over the past couple of years, and looks to be continuing this year. Connor said, I swear we genuinely have like 7 or 8 youth goalkeepers now. Why do we need so many? What I find frustrating is that none of them seem to be able to get a pathway through to the first team. None of them. I mean, I can't remember one that has broken through to the first team in a very, very long time. So it is, yeah. But maybe it's a point of get them out there, get them some loans, get them some experience, and if it doesn't work out, then the club can pull a Chelsea and sell them and make a few quid on them. I mean, I don't know. It's a very difficult position for someone to break through in, to be fair, because there is only one goalkeeper. And if you get your shot, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Do you think Sarr will come to Liverpool, said Jack May? Certainly somebody we're looking at, buddy, and somebody who seems to be the preferred target. I mean, we spoke about Patson Daka as well. I did say to you guys that a lot of clubs seem to be willing to give him one more year at Salzburg to see if he can continue that really good run of form. And Sarr is certainly somebody who we've been interested in. We know is available to buy. Watford gone down. He's not going to go and want to play in the Championship. 30 to 40 million pound maybe on the price. Again, probably something that'll happen later in the window if it happens. But I've got to be honest with you, if it was a case of us selling Raheem Brewster, even with a buyback clause to help fund Sarr, it still wouldn't sit well with me personally, and I can only give you my opinion. Dark Shadow said, love the content, Craig. Man, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I mean, the support you guys have given us lately has been phenomenal, particularly on other forms of social media. People jump into my defence when people are having a pop, and I'm not used to that. I'm not used to people having my back, so thank you for that. The Brazilian kid is apparently recommended by Allison as well, said Chani Deep. Nice one. Well, Allison would know a good Brazilian goalkeeper if we see one, to be fair. How close is Thiago? No closer, Luke, than it was yesterday, unfortunately, mate. The key to this whole Thiago thing, as I keep saying, is Gini Wijnaldum's situation. If Gini moves on, it looks like we'll get Thiago. If Gini doesn't move on, we probably won't get Thiago. And I have to say, if it means we get Gini Wijnaldum for another year, so be it. But, you know, Thiago is the sexy name this summer, so, you know, let's wait and see what happens on it. I just find it weird, though, that the Gini, if we pull the Thiago part of it aside, I do find it weird that we've let it get to this with Gini Wijnaldum, because we've spoken about the club being brilliant in giving people new contracts, the front three, and many other players throughout the club as well. A lot of young players signing their first professional deals, and the club have been very good at rewarding people for the success that the players have driven on the pitch. But Gini's situation baffles me. I said to you guys, and he's Klopp's go-to in the Premier League after Bobby Firmino. Nobody else has played more minutes other than Bobby Firmino for Jurgen Klopp in the Premier League since 16-17 than Gini Wijnaldum. He's Mr. Versatility. He's loved by the fans. Never puts a foot wrong. Always puts in a solid performance. And yet, for some reason, we haven't been able to agree a new deal. It is very strange. It really is. And all I can say is, I wonder if it's from Gini's side. That's all I can say on this one, because we've seen the club are very good at giving people new contracts. We've seen that it seems to be no issue. They go in, they get the job done, they announce it, and we're all happy. And the club have been fantastic at keeping our top talent. No more Barcelona coming in and poaching, no more Madrid coming in and poaching. Our front three all on new deals. Brilliant. The times seem to be a changing with regards to that. But Gini has earned a new deal. None of us none of us can deny that Gini Wijnaldum deserves a new deal. So all I can wonder is it from his side? I've heard it's about the length of contract. That's a fair point. If Liverpool are only willing to offer, let's say, 3 years and Gini wanted 4, or 2 years and Gini wanted 3, then I can see why we could come to an impasse. But surely, if Gini wanted an extra year, looking at his fitness, looking at James Milner and how strong he's still going, it seems a no-brainer to me. So I find it very disappointing that it's got to this with Gini Wijnaldum, and that's without the Thiago stuff, because we all love Gini. Gini does fucking excellently, excuse my language, for Liverpool Football Club. So yeah, it's a strange one with Gini. It's a strange one that we are in this situation. I love Gini, he's brilliant, said Luke. What are your predictions for next season's top 4? I would say, if you want them in order, difficult. Liverpool, City, Chelsea United, probably. Liverpool, City, Chelsea United, at a guess. And of course, I'm being optimistic there, putting the Reds top. I want us to go out there and defend their title. I don't see the likes of Spurs, Leicester City, even Everton with the business they've done, being able to really break into the top 4 this season. Even Arsenal, I would put them in. The best they could probably get is a Europa League place again, if I'm being honest. And again, I'll try and be honest on what I say on here. My brother said if United get Sancho, he'll support United. I mean, fair enough. I don't know what to say to that one. Harry Clapp said, I'm worried about the centre-back position. We only have 3 natural senior players, and they're both Matip and Gomez, don't have a great injury record. It's a good point, Harry. And I touched on this a couple of weeks back. I mean, I think I told you guys about a really good article I'd read on Liverpool.com that suggested that we could end up using Fabinho as an auxiliary centre-back if needs be, if the club don't go out there and replace Dejan Lovren. Now this kind of goes back into what Kieran Maguire was talking about with regards to us having the next generation of players lined up and ready to come through with Billy Comedio, Sepp van den Berg, Kylian Hoover. But I suppose the real problem is that they seem to be just maybe 1 year away from realistically being able to be a 4th choice option at centre-back. And there is no denying that Matip and Gomez have an injury record, mate. I can't argue with you on that one. Not that I want to be arguing with you. And it is a bit of a roll of the dice. It's a roll of the dice that didn't work out for Pep Guardiola when he took it and he tried to use Fernandinho there. So will we end up with the same heartache? I would suggest that there will be a time during this season, if we do go in, that we will end up having to use Fabinho back there, or we will end up having to give one of the youngsters a chance. And that is where we are at this moment in time. There's no point in me coming on here and filling you full of nonsense and saying that we're going to go out there and sign Koulibaly, or we're going to go out there and drop 50 million on Diego Carlos, because it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I fear we'll finish 3rd or even 4th, said Lawrence Mallet. I don't see it happening, Lauren. I mean, as much as I'm frustrated that we haven't refreshed the squad with a couple of extra signings and given everybody a bit of a boost and, given Klopp what I think he needs, I still think going into the season with the squad that we have, we're going to be there or thereabouts for the title. I mean, certainly I can't see us going anywhere less than 2nd. And that's me being honest. I mean, I'd love us to get an extra signing or 2 that would, strike the fear of God into our opponents. But even with what we have now, we still won the league at a canter. Didn't quite have the run in Europe that we wanted, and domestic cup competitions were a bit of a headache for varying reasons. We want a centre-back, please, the likes of Diego Carlos, said Eric. I would want better than Diego Carlos, if I'm being honest with you, particularly if we were looking at spending that type of money. I mean, there are much better options. I mean, Upamecano, if you wanted to go out and drop 40 or 50 million, would be a far better option than going out and getting Diego Carlos, and a young centre-back as well. Somebody who works in a system that isn't a million miles away from what he'd be asked to do at Liverpool with regards to the style of football that we play, and the Leipzig way of going about things. So that's more where I'd be looking if we had that kind of money to drop. But again, there is, we have Billy Comedio and Sepp van den Berg and Kylian Hoover coming through, and there's another young centre-back whose name escapes me as well, that's very highly thought of. Fat Frank's going to be sacked, said Jan Hanna. Look, There is serious pressure on Frankie Lampard this season. There's no excuses. There's no more pat on the back for good old Frankie Lampard, who went out there and, you know, brought the youngsters through. No, he's been given the keys to the kingdom now, and he has to put up or shut up this season in the Premier League, and it'll be interesting to see what does happen with Lampard. A little bit of a strange one, this one, not really something that I thought I'd be talking about, but Liverpool have announced that luxury Swiss watchmaker Tribus have come on board as the club's official global wristwatch and timing partner, because in this day and age, folks, you do need an official global wristwatch and timing partner. I mean, heaven forbid we just had a global wristwatch partner. I mean, the important part here is that we also have a timing partner built in, so we're getting double bubble here. Do you know what I mean? We're getting double bubble. Interesting now, there is a nice side story behind this. The brand was actually founded by three brothers from Merseyside, and one of the founders, whose name is James Ward, has described it as a dream come true to work with the Reds. So fair play on that one. I mean, it must be lovely to start a company like that, you being a Liverpool fan and then going and working with the club. So well done to everybody involved there, and immediately I can sense what everybody's thinking in the chat. Will this free up a few quid? Are we going to get some money from this to go out there and do transfers? We also seen the Cadburys came on board as well and released a Premier League Champions bar. I can't remember how many of them there are, but there's a whole load of them out there as well. So Liverpool have a little agreement with Cadburys now. So I don't know, is there more money to be had? I hope so. Don't know how anybody can defend FSG if we don't make any more signings this transfer window. I suppose, mate, and I'm not an FSG apologist or to be on here to defend them, but what was that noise? I don't know what that swallow turned into. I apologise there. They can defend themselves by saying, we brought you the Premier League, we brought you Jurgen Klopp, we brought you a European Cup, we brought you the Club World Cup, we brought you a Super Cup, we brought you record transfers, we got you a new main stand, we built you a new training ground, and we improved the area around Anfield. So, you know, it's very easy to jump on their back, and I have at times, and I will be frustrated if we don't do business, but I mean, it would take somebody with a very cold heart to say that they haven't delivered us the Holy Grail in the Premier League. You know, that can't be overlooked. No matter how frustrated we are with this window, they have delivered us the Premier League title and the best manager in world football, and done it in a unique way, a very clever way, very astute in the transfer window. That's my honest opinion, man. And I don't want to be on here, as I said, defending them. I've no vested interest in this. I always just speak my mind. Well, if FSG are the smartest owners, said Shayon, and look, they are, and they know what they're at, and they do things in a particular way. And Jurgen Klopp touched on this in that BBC Radio 5 Live interview with Kelly Cates, where he said that's the way we do things. And one thing that the manager has been consistent about when he speaks about the way we go about our business is that he's been informed all the way. He knew when he was taking the job on that this is the way we were going to act. And he knew when he signed his contract extension that this is the way the club goes about their business. So the only shock, and I keep coming back to Werner and all this, and I apologise for it, that's the only shock for me. If it's true that Klopp wanted Timo Werner and he was told no, that's what sounded alarm bells in my head. Because up until then, I'd always believed that Jurgen Klopp, in conjunction with the owners, looked at the situation and wanted to see that there was value in there, that we weren't overpaying, that the wages weren't too high, and that the club were getting a good deal. Nobody wants anything different to that. That's what we want to be hearing. And Michael Edwards has been absolutely fantastic, particularly in the way he's gone about selling some of our fringe players and the money he's brought in for them. And Liverpool have acted very astutely in the transfer window. I mean, I don't think any of us could disagree with that. But this is the summer that seems to be causing the most frustration. This is the summer where a lot of Liverpool fans are just left scratching their heads, looking around at James Rodriguez, Alan and Decore arriving at Everton, looking around at Arsenal making a signing or two, looking at Manchester City got out there and getting Ake and making, I think, another signing for about, I think they spent close to 80 million quid. United obviously got Donny van der Beek. You don't need me to be telling you this. You're probably just making you feel worse, but that's where we are. And as of right now, we've got in Costas Tsimikas. I think as of right now, we're about 3 million up in the transfer market. I think we've made about £3 million profit. Very basic fees, by the way. I mean, I'm just going off ins and outs here, not talking about the agents' fees or anything like that. Klopp wanted Brandt, Edwards got Salah. Now, to be fair, on the situation, Klopp was interested in Julian Brandt, definitely. But I think the staff pushed really hard for Mohamed Salah, if my memory is correct. And they just kept working on Klopp and saying, this is the guy that we suggest that you go with. And Klopp went with him, and look, I mean, nobody can deny that Mohamed Salah hasn't been an absolute superstar and a huge hit at Liverpool Football Club. Elijah John 5 said, Craig, I'd like to hear what Klopp says privately. Yes, mate. I'm with you on that one. That is the key to this. And in every Liverpool fan's head right now, we just don't want a frustrated manager. We don't want any ill feeling to creep into what has been a very tight, very well run group of players who seem to have nothing but a positive attitude, really strong mentally, and we don't want anything to come in and break that. So yeah, I'd love to have that conversation with Kloppo as well, mate, privately, but yeah, unfortunately that's where we are with that one. Right, I'm going to finish off tonight's stream for the last 10 or 15 minutes by going through whatever you guys want to talk about. So get your questions into the chat. We still have a couple of guests to pin down. I'm still looking to get an actual date from James Pearce about when we're going to have him on. I'm filming tomorrow with Steve Hoare, who you probably know from a few bits and pieces with Red Men. He also has launched a new podcast, which is why we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. So we're going to pre-record that before I do tomorrow's stream. So that'll be a bit of extra content going out as well. I'm still trying to pin down Jim Boardman for an exact date. Expressions is going to come on in the next week or two. He's just really busy as well. So yeah, we do have some good stuff coming up on the channel. But most importantly, the game on Saturday, kicking off at 5:30. We'll be live from 5 o'clock. We'll have our preview show. We'll have the watch-along. We'll have our post-match show. And of course, we'll be interacting with you guys on the Flick Chat app as well. That is something that if you like this channel, I seriously urge you to download that app. It is free. Absolutely 100% free. You can get it from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. There's a link in the description as well. There's a poll up on there now that it asks you, actually a quiz that asks you, how well do you know Craig? And there's 8 questions up there. And nobody, as of yet, including Connor Crosby, including my wife, including my daughter, and including everybody that knows me, has actually gotten 8 out of 8 yet. So let me see who's going to be the first one to do that, and let me know if you do get the 8 out of 8 questions, folks. But please do come across and try out the app, because it's great fun. We interact on there on a daily basis, share breaking news. It's a cool little app that you can chat about football with people from around the world, completely free of ads as well. Please do check it out, because it's going to be a big part of our season moving forward. Right, Mr. Morrissey, where's your comment gone? Brian was in the chat, said some of our fans, a lot of them in here apparently, couldn't even spell gratitude. We were going into administration when they took over. Have some perspective and look at what's happening out there. Yeah, I think if I was to pitch an answer back to you, Brian, that you might get from a few people, they would say that that's great, but you know, it's probably a situation of what have you done for me lately kind of scenario. Do you know what I mean? It's very quick for us as fans to brush over all the stuff that you've rightly pointed out. But they did get a bargain as well, man. There's no denying that when they bought the club. They did get the club at a pretty good price. And look, they've been masters of the way they've come in and increased the value of the club and stuff. But, you know, we'd be lying if we said that they didn't get the club at a pretty good price. FSG can only give it when it suits them. Football evolves, said Dean Lauder. Look, they bought the club and they've always been clear that we're going to work within our means. I mean, the question that we all have is, why are our means so small at this moment in time? With all the stuff, you know, the winning the Premier League, the television money, the prize, all the stuff that you guys know about. The real question for us right now is, why the hell have we got no money? And yes, there's an easy answer for them. They'll talk about the global pandemic, and it's an easy way to say that, you know, we've had to pay out a lot of money with nothing coming in, and I suppose we have to appreciate that as well. Not that we like it, and I mean, I'm on with you guys. I want to transfer it too. Right, what else we got? We're winning the treble this year. There you go, pal. Love it. Bit of positivity. Happy days. Griezmann rumours are only bollocks supported by Stan Collymore, said Tom Boland. They are absolute poo-poo of the highest order, Tom. Liverpool aren't going out there and signing Antoine Griezmann, nor would I want them, to be honest with you, because I think Griezmann's best days are behind him. But look, that's just my humble opinion on it. I think my chat has messed up again, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me 1 second while I just refresh the chat, because I think it's after messing up on me. 2 seconds. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 10 minutes left, so if there is anything that you want to ask, please do get it into the chat, and I promise you I'll do my best to address it. Also, don't forget, we do have memberships on the channel. If you want to become a member of Anfield Agenda FC, all you have to do is click that join button. Membership's $4.99 a month, and for that you get the Anfield Agenda badge beside your name. You get the use of all the custom emojis that only our members have here in the chat, and you also get access to the exclusive Anfield Agenda Discord group, which is where we share the inner secrets of the channel and what we're going to be doing. When we ask you guys for your feedback, and you actually help shape the future of the channel. So if you want to become a member, instead of maybe doing a super chat or something like that, become a member. You get a little bit more bang for your buck there. Membership $4.99 a month, as I said, and much appreciated. Right, what else have we got? How much will no crowd have? How much of an effect will no crowd have on the players? Seems to be quite a bit for us, Lauren. We know that, you know, Liverpool feed off the crowd, whether it be a tackle from Andy Roberts or whatever. We do rely on the crowd maybe a little bit more than other clubs. Starting 11 versus Leeds, and I will do a full preview, by the way, tomorrow for the Leeds game. So I'll go through my starting 11 score predictions and all that stuff. So I'm going to hang off, if that's okay. I'm giving you that because I want to just get a bit more information on how Hendo is. What have we got? Danny said, come on the Super Reds, Kula. Did Kula win, Danny? You were telling me, I think, that Kula were in the final or something like that of with regards to club football, county, or not county football, club football. Do let me know if they got through, because I don't know. Kula obviously just up the road from where I grew up. Craig, would you put Klopp on the same level as Shankly? I suppose to some extent, yes. I mean, it's very difficult to compare anybody of any era, and I mean, I wouldn't urge anyone to try and do it either, but each in their own unique way have brought Liverpool back to the fore and back to the top, or in Shankly's case, just to the top. So I would say yes, he'll be a special manager. He's won a European Cup, he's won a league title, he's won the first manager at the club to win the World Club Cup, and of course he's lifted the European Cup as well, and there's still more time for him to add to that. So he will always go down in the greats, but we're talking about a club, thankfully, that has the greats of the greats, if you know what I mean. Shankly, Paisley, Fagan, Katie Dalglish, Rafa Benitez, I mean, the list goes on. What positions do we need improving in, Craig, said Sam Graham. In my opinion, mate, I think we need to go out there and get a forward to challenge the front three, because I've said this all summer. To me, they just have nobody breathing down their neck. Divock Origi doesn't seem to be up to the job, as good as he has been as a substitute, by the way, and he's had an impact from that sense, and he has had some huge moments, but nobody can argue that he's on the same level, or even close to the same level as the front three. Ryan Brewster, he's, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Ryan yet, but in the future I believe he'll be right there challenging. Takumi Minamino is probably the closest we have right now to somebody who's going to challenge the front three for a spot. So I think we need a forward. We don't actually need a midfielder, to be honest with you. If we were to keep Wijnaldum, I think our midfield is okay. I mean, I know Thiago is the option. If Thiago comes in, it'll give us something different to Gini, but Naby Keita is going to be big for us this season. So realistically, I think centre back and a forward are probably the two positions that we should go out there and do business in. If I was, you know, running transfers, I'd be looking to bring in that fourth choice centre back, and I'd be looking to go out there and get a forward. That's what I think anyway. Defo need a striker, said Hader. And what do you like on that? I say forward because part of the time I think we need a wide attacking pacey forward, and then other times I understand what people are saying about an out and out striker, somebody like a Timo Werner who can play through the middle, and maybe that'll force a little tweak in system at times. So I try and I suppose I sit on the fence a little bit when I say forward. What do you guys think? Would you rather an out and out 9, or would you rather a pacey wide forward? Minamino has potential, said Elijah John 5, and thankfully he's starting to show that potential. Koa said United are getting Sancho. Are they? Has that been confirmed? I know Mark's been talking about it a lot today, and Drawdy tweeting about it as well, but I've yet to see any real breakthrough there other than the fee has been agreed, or not the fee, the wages and the agents' fees have, you know, been agreed. But Dortmund have said August 10th was the deadline. Dortmund have set the price tag of I think £108 million or something like that for Jadon Sancho. So I don't know, unless something's changed there, I haven't got a clue. Can we afford Mbappe next season? Is it possible? No and no is the answer to that one. We're never going to pay that level of wage. It's as simple as that. We're never going to pay somebody 500, 600, 700 grand a week. So, sorry, this is a short answer, but unfortunately the answer is no. But thank you for the super chat, buddy, and I wish I had a more positive reply for you. Only thing with Naby is too many injuries. Can't disagree, Darren. Since he's come in, he has had some injuries, mate. There's no denying that. But I wonder were those injuries partly because of the extra strain that's been put on his body because of the way Klopp wants his players to be with regards to fitness and pressing and ground covered and stuff like that. So maybe his body broke down a little bit at the beginning, but is now starting to get the grips of what the manager's asking of him. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway, because you know me, I do love Naby Keita. Captain Clun wants a pacey wide forward. Keita's next Iniesta wants Daka, Brewster and Sarr up front, or at least as a backup. I'm not going to lie to you, mate, that would be a pretty feckin' tasty backup for the front three. Can I order a pizza here? Yes, mate. Just put in your credit card details. Send them to AnfieldAgenda@outlook.com. Full credit card details, including the CCV number on the back of it, and I'll make sure that that pizza gets to you. It'll be the most expensive pizza you've ever bought in your life, buddy. But yes, you can have a pizza here, but no pineapple. What have we got? Sancho should stay at Dortmund. Yeah, I hope so as well. I mean, the Echo had a little piece earlier on that suggested that if he did stay at Dortmund, that maybe we'd be in from next summer. And look, I don't even want to let my mind go there, to be honest. Minamino can play across the front three, said Jan. Absolutely spot on. I was actually surprised to see him go and play in the 9 at first when he did come to the club, but he can certainly play in the front three, no doubt about it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Anfield Agenda is very close to 45k now, which for us is the road to 50. So if you're enjoying the stream, please do hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the stream, and can somebody check I'm going to check the Instagram account right now, see how far off we are, because yeah, it'd be lovely to hit the 20k. So let me just check Instagram and see how far we are off it. Where are we? We're only 20 followers away on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't given the Anfield Agenda account a follow on Instagram, just at Anfield Agenda. We're the same on Twitter as well. Oxlade-Chamberlain needs to be injury free to progress, said Elijah John 5. Yeah, another one. When Felipe Coutinho left, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain stepped up and had an absolutely amazing run until he picked up that injury against Roma. But I love Chamberlain, and he does give us something a little bit different. I can only see Liverpool and City going for the title this season, so talk MU. I'll be honest with you, mate, I'm the same. I think Manchester United, and Chelsea are almost fortifying their place in the top four there. I think it's going to be very difficult for Spurs or an Arsenal or anybody else to break into that top four, particularly if United get Sancho. But even if they add Sancho, I still don't see United being ready to challenge for the title this season. What else we got? Who's more valuable, Mane or Salah? I would say Salah, if we were to go into the market to sell, would probably bring in more money. I think for a few reasons. One, I think Salah is a bigger name around the world. Yeah, but look, it's scary thinking about the thoughts of losing either of them. But I would say Salah is probably more valuable. What have we got? On the Liverpool jersey, £70 and £100 here in South Africa. We're going to pay loads of money. Well, I'm the same. I ordered the red one with the badges on it from the club website, and I think that cost me... I got the World Club Cup badge and I got the European badges. I think it cost me about... I think it was about £85, if my memory serves me correct. And that was for... which is about, what, €94. That was for the stadium shirt, the cheaper one. And then I couldn't get the away shirt on the Liverpool site when the pre-release came out. So I went on to the Nike website and I paid €90 on there just for the green shirt. And again, just for the stadium version. Base, face and space. I love saying that name, mate. Willian said confidence in Matip as a player. Yes. In his body, no. That's my honest view. Joe Matip on the pitch, I'd have no worries with him playing whatsoever. The only worry is, unfortunately, the run of injuries that he's picked up throughout his career. But he did step up. I mean, he did play a very, very important role when Gomez was injured. So I will always have, he has credit in the bank with me on that for sure. And I do like him as a player. Worth a punt on Immobile, the Lazio striker. No, would be my answer to that one. Yeah, I wonder as well, are his best days behind him? A lot of penalties and stuff. But no, I'm always nervous about going into Serie A to buy players and bring them into the Premier League. It just doesn't seem to work out well for Liverpool when we do that. Right, a couple more before we finish up for the night. Craig, how do you think Thiago will fit in the Premier League? Said English Football HD. I mean, he's just a class act, mate. I think he would take to it like a duck to water because he's somebody that almost glides around the pitch and gets the job done. So I would say that if Thiago came to the Reds, I think that he would slot in more quickly than some other players have. And I wouldn't expect him to take half a season to get up to speed, if I'm being honest. So I would say very well. Haaland or Daka, if you have the option. Haaland, obviously. I don't think anybody in the world would give you a different answer to that one. But young Haaland is happy at Dortmund. He's playing in the Bundesliga, which he's always dreamt of playing in, for a very good club who are going to challenge for the Bundesliga title. They're going to be in the Champions League. He's surrounded by good young talent as well. Right place for him, I think, in his career right now, young Haaland. Right, let me think one more before we finish up, and then we'll call it a night, if that's alright. And don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 as well. Tomorrow I'm lying to you. Tomorrow will be 8:45 because I am filming that little segment beforehand with Steve Hoare. So looking forward to having a chat with Steve, talking about his new podcast, as I said before. What have we got? Dave Smith, last comment of the night, said, we might not have won the league without Origi. I don't think any striker is going to take Bobby's place. He does exactly what Klopp wants. Origi is a hero. There's no denying it, mate. He scored some huge goals for us. But it's just about consistency, and he doesn't seem to have it, unfortunately, when he gets a start. But he has scored some huge goals, and will always have a special place in Liverpool fans' heart for what he's done. The goal against Everton, I'm never, ever, ever going to forget that goal. Never going to forget how we celebrated it. I'm never going to probably be as shocked and happy in one moment as I was when that happened. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Kloppo on the pitch hugging Alisson, it was great. And Everton fans losing their minds left, right and centre. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that one a night. Thank you very much. Don't forget to go on and follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up as well. Thank you for all the super chats. Don't forget, if you want to become a member, that's open. But most importantly, Flick Chat. I'm going to be on there later on tonight. I have a podcast to record when I finish this with somebody else who asked me to come on, so I won't be on there straight away, but I should be on there after 11. So there's a link in the description. You can just go into your app store and just search for the Flick Chat app. But if you use the link in the description, you get the 2 free cheer pixel emojis, which is basically like giving us a tip for free. Look, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I thank you so much for your time. Hopefully tomorrow we've got some more positive news, but look, we are where we are. I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving us your time as always. Lots of love to each and every one of you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and up the Reds.